Stat here. Hope you're doing well. Today we're going to be profiling my Gravekeepers deck. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below. As always, I enjoy interacting with you, and please consider subscribing for more awesome Yu-Gi-Oh content. Without further ado, let's dive right into it. Gravekeeper's Commandant. This card is essentially a terraforming. We could pitch it from our hand to the graveyard to search for one Necro Valley from deck to hand. And it's also a beat stick while Necro Valley is on the field. We are playing triple copies of Gravekeeper Spiritualist. This card is arguably the most important Gravekeeper monster in the main deck because our whole strategy is centered around this card. We can use this card as fusion material along with any other spellcaster from our field or hand to fusion summon. So typically we're going to be fusing her and another Gravekeeper to go into Supernaturalist, which we'll get into here in a little bit. And it's also, again, a level 4 beat stick while Necro Valley is on the field. One Headman. Headman can revive our Gravekeepers from the graveyard. Keep in mind, Headman does bypass Necro Valley's restrictions, which benefit us. When we summon this card, we can special summon one level 4 Gravekeeper in face-up attack or face-down defense. The face-down defense doesn't come up often because we are not playing Gravekeeper Spy, but if that is a card you choose to play, this card might benefit you. We are playing one Gravekeeper's Heretic while Necro Valley is on the field. It is unaffected by all other card effects, including Necro Valley, so it won't get the 500 attack point bonus, but that's okay. I was torn between playing this and Descendant because Descendant is able to tribute another Gravekeeper to pop an opponent's card, but the more I rationalized it, we're not going to be swarming that much in order to tribute monsters for Descendant's effect. So I went with Heretic. That way we can bypass effects that might interrupt us or restrict us. Getting into the heart and soul of the deck, we are playing triple copies of Necro Valley. This card is excellent in this format due to Sprite and Tier Limit and their overuse of the graveyard. So this card just shuts down everything. Luckily for us, again, our Gravekeeper's effects bypass Necro Valley's restrictions, which is good. Our Gravekeepers gain 500 attack and defense while they're on the field. I highly recommend to pick up the Dual Saga copies if you're able, because the Dual Saga printing is the most recent. This card has received 7 erratas throughout the year, so if you're able, pick up the Dual Saga copies. That way you have the most updated text, and that way you don't have any ruling conflicts. Of course, we are playing the one Terraforming to search for one of 3 copies of Necro Valley. We are going to be playing the triple Royal Tribute, Rest in Peace hand traps. While Necro Valley is on the field, both players must discard all monsters in their hand to the graveyard. Luckily for us, we're not playing that many monsters, and if we are, they're either already going to be on the field or sometimes in the graveyard. This card is excellent for getting rid of your opponent's starters and hand traps, so that way they can't play. Highly recommend. It is a card that I usually side out because it's not searchable, and if I feel like I'm not drawing into it enough, I'll side deck like Super Poly or Evenly Matched or something, depending if I'm going first or second, whatever the situation may be. We're playing triple copies of Necro Valley Throne. This card is a hard once per turn, and we get one or the other effect. We can either add a Gravekeeper's monster from deck to hand, or we can have an additional normal summon. Usually we're going to be searching for a Gravekeeper's monster. This card's really good for searching for Commandant, which again, Commandant can pitch itself to search for Necro Valley. So essentially this is like a pseudo terraforming as well, because you could directly search for Commandant and a Commandant for Necro Valley. We were playing triple copies of Hidden Temples of Necro Valley. This card is the Vanity's Emptiness of the deck. It shuts down special summons. You could activate this card while you control both a Gravekeeper and Necro Valley, and then both players can only special summon Gravekeeper monsters while this card's face up on the field. However, if you don't control Necro Valley or a Gravekeeper's monster, you must destroy this card. That rarely comes up because if this hits the field, it's game over for the opponent. They're not going to get over it, especially if we're running 3 copies. And we do have ways of getting Necro Valley back, so this will 90% of the time be live. For the draw cards of the deck, we are playing triple Pot of Extravagance, 2 Pot of Prosperity. For the trap lineup, we are playing triple Imperial Tombs of Necro Valley. You can activate this card while you control Gravekeepers and Necro Valley. to negate the activation of your opponent's spell or trap and destroy it. And this card is also a hard once per turn. So really good. This is essentially a solemn judgment. And we are playing triple skill drain. As I said before, with Necro Valley on a field, our Gravekeepers become beat sticks. So we are not really relying on effects too much. So this card's really good for shutting down your opponent. You're playing triple dimensional barrier. There's a lot of fusion summoning happening in this format, a lot of Exceeds and link summoning. Unfortunately, this can't stop link summoning, but it can stop fusions and Exceeds, which is what we want to do against Tear Lament and Sprite. So this is more shutting down special summons just in case we don't have access to our hidden temples. Getting into the 2 of traps, we are playing 2 Goza Match and 2 Rivalry of the Warlords. As I said before, Tear Lament and Sprite are a thing. Sprite utilizes for rank 2 engines. You got some players are using Hyperia, some people playing with the Frogs, some people playing with the Diviner engines. These cards are really good for just shutting down their plays and controlling their field. Highly recommend playing 2 of each. I'm not playing a playset because it does get bricky. We do have plenty of draw power in this deck. We don't need an overabundance. But at least for the main deck, we are playing 1 Hidden Temple of Necro Valley. While we control a Gravekeeper's monster in Necro Valley, all of our opponent's monsters lose 500 attack and defense. Able to activate a Necro Valley from your graveyard or your hand. So again, it keeps Necro Valley live at all times. And if this card happens to be destroyed, you're able to set a Necro Valley spell or trap from deck to field. Getting into the extra deck, we are playing triple copies of Gravekeeper Supernaturalist. This card is the beat stick. So when this card is fusion summoned, it gains 100 attack times the levels of the fusion materials used to fusion summon it. Also, while this card's on the field and while you control a field spell, Necro Valley and this card cannot be destroyed by card effects. So again, when Necro Valley is on the field and this is on the field, this will protect your Necro Valley. And then also during your main phase, you could activate the effect to search for a Necro Valley or Gravekeeper's monster from deck to hand. Keep in mind, you have to activate this effect during the main phase in order to get the search during the end phase. As I said before, I usually side deck Super Poly. So we are playing Super Poly targets with 2 Garura, 1 Dracostapia, and 1 Starving Venom Fusion Dragon. These are just generic Super Poly targets. Of course, you could play whatever you want. Because we are playing Extravagance, I decided to bump Garura up to 2 because that is the one that comes up most often. For generic rank 4s, we are playing 1 Time Thief Redoer, 1 Tornado Dragon, 1 Babushka. These rarely come up. Just read the cards. Most of the time, you're not going to be going into these, but Gravekeepers are capable at times of going into rank 4. So these are the ones that I would play. You don't need to play Abyss Dweller because you have Necro Valley. There's no use. And then for generic links, we are playing 1 Dark to Dark Charmer. Again, you're not going to be going into these often. You're mainly going to be going into your fusions. 1 IP Masquerena, which could go into Unicorn for disruption. Appaloosa for the negate. And then 1 Underworld Goddess. Again, just a generic link monster. We all know my feelings on Underworld Goddess. We don't need to go over it for the 1,000th time. So that's it for today's deck profile. I hope you really enjoyed it. And if you did, be sure to give this video a like. Leave a comment down below. As always, I enjoy interacting with you. And please consider subscribing for more awesome Yu-Gi-Oh! Content. Please hit the notification bell for when I go live and upload. It really helps the channel out. And also, I will be doing a 2022 live Mega Tin case opening here on the channel once my case arrives. So again, hit the notification bell to be notified of when that happens. And until next time, I'll see you in the next video.